Hello, I'm Russell Poynton from Edison Group, work on consumer stocks. Today, it's great to have with us again from CTD Tiles, Rob Parker, the Chief Executive, and Stephen Hopson, the CFO. Thank you for joining me, chaps, again.
Hello, Russell. Great to be back.
Good. Well, Rob, the interim results have just been published, and it's about this time last year when you launched the Mission 365
Absolutely.
Financial targets. So let's go through each of the main parts of that. So first, let's kick off on perhaps the most important one, which is digitising the trader experience and improving that experience the trade customers enjoys with CTD Tiles. So can you talk about the progress you've made in the last 12 months and perhaps the customer reception to that?
Yeah, thanks, Rory. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so within the CTD Tiles part of the business, because we are 5 different trading brands, as you know, but yeah, within CTD Tiles, we said we really wanted to move forward with the trader digital experience. I think we've made really good progress with that, actually. So a year ago, we talked about there were certain points of friction for traders in their journey. So you couldn't create a trade account online. You had to come into store. You couldn't see pricing online. We've removed all of those sort of points of friction, and actually we've seen a really good response from customers. So over the first half, trade registrations are up. Overall trade sales are up 12% within CTD Tiles. Online, we've seen a 4-fold increase in trade traffic to the website, so a really big step on. And trade sales through the website themselves are up 85%. But ultimately, those customers also want to come to stores, which is why the really important number to us is a 12% growth in trade. And we've got some exciting things coming in the second half. So in the second half, we'll relaunch the trade website completely. So we'll make it even easier to navigate and manage for our loyal trade customers. We're also launching a new customer engagement platform, so a CEP, which means, we can have a much stronger voice with our customers. We can communicate offers with them, sort of bespoke tailoring of messaging to customers, that real sort of direct communication channel. That's going to be really exciting. And then into next year, 2026, we plan to launch from the ground up a brand new app as well. We've already got an existing app for trade. It's a bit dated now, so we're getting a whole new one, as I say, from the ground up. And that really will become the sort of encapsulation of our whole ecosystem for trades. The idea is to get that on everyone's phone, in their pocket. We can sort of launch offers to them directly. They'll have things like click and collect functionality. All of the loyalty will be embedded in there. If you need trade credit facilities, that will go through the app as well. So a really big step on coming next year, but great progress this year as well.
And the second important section is moving into new product categories, adjacencies, which hopefully you'll get into more customers. So can you talk about what you've introduced over the last 12 months and how that's been received by the customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, we talked about we really wanted to sort of position the business as a supplier of hard wall and floor surface coverings. If it's in that market, we consider potentially that's part of our addressable market. And actually, again, we've made some really good progress. So we've been in some of these categories for a couple of years now, things like outdoor tiles. That was a piece of sort of technical innovation. We've seen some good success in outdoor over the first half. It's a really competitively fought over market, but we've refreshed our ranges. We've pushed more into sort of digital marketing to make sure we're really telling people we're into these categories. We've really further enforced our specialism. We've seen good progress with outdoor. Luxury vinyl tile, LVT, actually that's now a major part of the business as well. So again, we're seeing good success there. Again, marketing the message, telling consumers we sell these products is important, but also the technical specialist knowledge we have in stores. We are a real technical specialist. Customers expect us to be able to provide them with lots of sort of support and help, and we need to make sure we can do that in the new category extensions as well as the existing core offer. We're really moving on with those fronts. And also sourcing. So we've now gone direct to factory for a lot of these products, and we're seeing some really good sourcing gains come through as well, which is helping us to drive margins. So much so actually that over the first half, sales in these categories are up about 17%, which is good. But actually gross profits are up about 30% over the first half. So we're really starting to deliver some of those sort of core tops values. And then some other areas which are newer into the store. So we've now got porcelain splashback. So the area behind your cooker, you can do sort of in a one tile solution, and then acoustic wall panels, which is sort of quite a big trend in the market. We've now got treatments for those, displays of those in all stores up and down the country. And again, we're investing a bit more in the online marketing side to really get that message landed with consumers. And we're seeing some really good responses from consumers on those categories as well.
And a big focus for you, Rob, is to grow your B2B. You've got a big trade presence and a number of brands. So first of all, could you just update us on what all your different brands are and who they're focused on? And you've just finally got your hands on CTD after
That's right.
quite a long and protracted CMA review. Perhaps just talk about what you've found in CMA and what you think the opportunities are for CTD.
CTD, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, well, as you say, Russell, 4 trading brands now across the group. On each of them, actually, we've done some really good work in the first half, so we can be really clear on where they participate in the market and why and who the core customer is each of them serves. So, Topps Tiles, most people will be familiar with, a market-leading business in the UK, 300 stores up and down the country. The reality is Topps Tiles is more of a domestically focused business. So even when we're serving a professional installer, and 65 to 70% of the time we are in Topps Tiles, but even then the setting for the application of that product is almost inevitably in the domestic RMI, the repair, maintenance, improvement sector. So Topps Tiles does a great job of serving the core trade customers, people like general builders who might be in the market to do a tiling job every few weeks, and then more sort of smaller solus installers. Topps Tiles offers a great solution for those people. We've obviously owned the Pro Tiler business for a number of years now. I think we're just going into our 3rd year or just coming into our 4th year of ownership actually of Pro Tiler. That business is all about online pure play. It's about tools and consumables to professional installers. They tend to be maybe some of the larger contractor, maybe some of the contractor type customers, and then also professional installers and fitters. The only thing they don't sell is the coverings. They sell everything else you could possibly need to do the job, and they're real specialists, real experts in that space. The Parkside business we've had for a little while now, that's serving more the direct selling channel into the A&D type community, large infrastructure type projects, airports, hotel chains, etc. We're specifying and supplying tiles to those clients. And then CTD, as you say, the newest part of the business, actually is more of a trade counter type operation. So larger contractors, national house builders, etc., who value the sort of physical presence of the offer, but actually they tend to be dealing larger quantities. And CTD is really well set up to deal with that. So more of a trade counter operation, but racked warehouses, forklift trucks on site. They can very easily supply pallets of product at a time. Topps Tiles will do some of that, but it's more into sort of slightly smaller category of orders really. So yeah, CTD we think rounds out a really clear area of opportunity across the group as we serve the entire UK tile market.
And to focus on CTD, you haven't had it for long, but just what have you found so far, and perhaps talk about that opportunity.
So as I mentioned in the previous section, we see a really clear place for it as part of the group trade strategy operations. I think that's really exciting. It does serve a slightly different type of customer in a slightly different setting. We've actually now had the business for 9 months, amazingly, but a lot of that time has been, as you say, spent supporting the CMA with their inquiries into this space. We were really pleased that in the vast majority of instances, they didn't find any concerns over competition. There's 4 stores that we're in the process of divesting. The rest of the operations, all of the rest of the stores and all the commercial operations, we are now free to proceed with, and that's exactly what we're getting on with. So really excited about the journey. We haven't been able to do the integration work that we would have liked to. We're now on with that. We literally had the business back under our control probably for the last 2 weeks, something like that. We've seen a bit of a trading loss over the first half. We've now already 2 weeks in, we've got a really clear plan to get that business back into small levels of profitability. I'm pretty confident we will be there by Q4 this year, so July, August, September. So we're moving at pace now. The benefit of it being part of the group is, we understand how tile operations work. We've been doing it for a long time. We've got lots of capability within the group that we can now deploy to the benefit of CTD and its customer base. So the immediate operations are all about getting the business back into modest levels of profitability, and then as we get into 2026, our focus will really go into growing that brand. We believe there can be a really bright future for the CTD business as part of the group.
And last but not least, the online businesses, which are trading very well. So just give us an update on what you're seeing in both of those businesses.
Yeah, thanks, Russell. So as you say, 2 businesses in this space. The Pro Tiler business I mentioned a little bit earlier. We've had that business now about 3 years in our ownership. That business has performed very, very well. So it's now roughly 3 times the size of when we acquired it. In the first half, the big activity was moving into a new warehouse. They were absolutely constrained by their old facility. And I'm delighted to say that was done, on time and to budget. Great piece of work from the Pro Tiler team. We've now got the operational capacity to deliver our £50 million target, which is part of the Mission 365 goal for the business. And we're very confident that we'll get there, I think actually sooner rather than later. We're really pushing on in the Pro Tiler business. And the new warehouse facility has allowed us to further improve our operational capability. So the most recent innovation, as an example, is a 9 p.m. cut-off. So amazingly, you can order from the Pro Tiler business up to 8:59 literally, and you can still get your goods the following day. That's a real strong competitive advantage in the UK market. So things like that I think are really encouraging. But as you say, the business is growing, another 17% growth over the first half. And even notwithstanding the additional warehousing costs, which of course we've had to take on because we've roughly trebled the amount of size they've got available, we still think that business will deliver a flat year-on-year profit. And then as we go into 2026, we start back on with growing profits again in Pro Tiler. I think it's a really exciting part of the journey to Mission 365. And then the second part of our operations, Tile Warehouse, which we started sort of from scratch. It was an organic startup a few years ago. Again, really good growth there over the first half, and we've been very focused on getting top-line sales moving. And actually, Tile Warehouse, amazingly, we believe, are the fastest growing tile specialist in the UK. That is based on traffic. You'll see that in our RNS and our investor presentation today. So yeah, we think we're growing really well. We're actually seeing traffic grow about 30% over the first half. We're also growing, because it's about quality of traffic, we're also growing conversion, and therefore transactions are coming through. And sales have actually doubled over the first half as well, just over 100% growth in sales. And there's a small operating loss, a small trading loss. That in itself has halved over the first half. So doubled sales and half the losses. We stay on that trajectory. Again, we think this is a £15 million opportunity over time. It's also a really important part of our journey to Mission 365.
Well, thanks, Rob, for the update on the Mission 365 strategy points. Let's move over to Stephen now. So, Stephen, do you just want to give us the highlights from the interim results?
Yeah, thanks, Russell. I guess the main headline is that we're back into both sales and profit growth, actually, on a year-on-year basis. And that follows 2024, where the market saw quite substantial declines after a couple of years of really, really strong growth. So it's really good to see us moving back into growth. Total sales were up 16% to 143 million, so strong growth. That did include a contribution of £15 million from CTD, and so we've excluded that for our adjusted measures throughout the rest of the P&L. So if you exclude CTD, sales growth of about 4% across the group. That included like-for-like sales growth in Topps Tiles of 3%, a slight decline in Parkside of £300,000 year on year, and then strong growth across the online pure play part of the business, which was up 22%, including really strong performances from both Pro Tiler and also Tile Warehouse, as Rob mentioned in answer to your previous question. In terms of gross margins, they stepped back 50 basis points compared to H1 last year due to the business mix change. But actually, they moved forward compared to the second half of last year, so sequential progress. And we expect gross margins to step forward again slightly in the second half of this year compared to the first half. So that was positive. From a cost perspective, operating costs were up £1 million compared to last year, but that did include £2 million of cost inflation as well as investments that we made across the business, really. And we managed to offset almost all of that through £3 million of cost savings. So again, a pretty good sort of story in terms of cost management in the business. And that led to adjusted PBT slightly up year on year of £3.2 million in the first half compared to £3.1 million in the first half last year. Worth noting that on an earnings per share basis, we actually saw quite strong growth. So between 8% and 9% of EPS growth, which is good because obviously that enables future dividends to be made to shareholders and so on. So that's a good step forward in terms of earnings growth. Just turning to the balance sheet briefly. So we finished the first half with net debt of £1.2 million. So a modest level of net debt, really. And we still retain a really robust balance sheet in the business. So we have a £30 million committed banking facility that runs out to October 2027. So quite a lot of headroom against our banking facilities and a robust balance sheet in the business as we stand here today. So that's the sort of summary of the first half.
And would you like to say something about the dividend? Because tucked away there was, some positive news potentially for income investors.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We've committed to an interim dividend of 0.8 pence today, which is in line with our policy, where the interim dividend will be set at 1/3 of the level of the prior year full year dividend. But the other thing that we said is we've committed for this year that the full year dividend will be at least consistent with last year. So 2.4 pence was paid last year. We'll pay at least that this year. Obviously depending on profitability, it might be more than that, but at least 2.4 pence for the full year, which, as you say, for income holders is hopefully good news.
Thanks to Stephen for the update on the financials. So, Rob, can you pull this all together and just talk about the outlook for the year, mentioned current trading, which looks
Yes.
it's been on an improving trend through the first half.
It has, and we, as Stephen will have covered, we saw an improving trend through the first half. But yeah, the first 7 weeks of the second half of the year have been very good indeed. So Tops Tiles, like for like, the biggest part of our operations is up 6.2%, growth of 6.2% on that is on a like for like basis. But the group as a whole grown by 9.5% over those 7 weeks as well. So yeah, we're sort of quite optimistic about what we can deliver over the second half of the year. Lots of things going on with the strategy, lots of self-help coming through. We do think the market and the consumer has probably eased a little bit as well. I think we've seen that through a few other statements that have been released recently. But yeah, we think the strategy is working. We're delivering almost without doubt now, and certainly if you include CTD, it will be a record ever year of sales for the business. So including CTD, somewhere between 290 and 300 million. The highest we've ever achieved previously was just over 260 million. And we're pretty confident we'll see a meaningful increase in profitability for the group across the year as well.
And just to be clear, when you say eased, you don't mean got worse, you mean got better.
Yes, the consumer, we think, is in a slightly better position than where they were, absolutely.
That's great, thank you. Well, Rob and Stephen, thank you very much for your time today, and we will look forward to seeing you in 6 months' time, hopefully.
Great, thanks, Russell.